Welcome, Jonathan here. Think you know everything about guitar pedals, think again. There's a lot of misinformation floating around about stomp boxes, and today we're going to dive deep and set the record straight. That's right. We're busting 8 of the most common myths surrounding effects pedals, so buckle up, because we're about to separate fact from fiction in the wild world of guitar pedals. Okay, let's talk true bypass. Now, I'm not going to lie, when I first started out, I thought true bypass was the holy grail. I mean, who wouldn't want a pedal that completely removes itself from the signal chain when it's off? Right, but here's the thing, it's not always that simple. See, some pedals, especially vintage ones, use their circuitry to shape the tone even when they're off. So when you bypass them, you might actually lose some of that character. Now on the flip side, a well-designed buffered bypass pedal can actually improve your tone by acting as a signal buffer. This can be especially helpful if you have a long cable run or a lot of pedals on your board. Buffers help maintain signal strength and clarity, which can be crucial for a tight, punchy sound. So before you go ditching all your buffered bypass pedals, experiment and see what sounds best for your rig. Remember, there's no one-size-fits-all answer when it comes to tone. Now, this is a debate that's been raging since digital pedals first hit the scene, and honestly, there's no easy answer. Analog pedals with their transistors and capacitors have a certain warmth and organic quality that's hard to replicate digitally. They often respond dynamically to your playing, cleaning up nicely when you roll back the volume knob. Plus, there's just something about the simplicity of a few knobs and a foot switch. That's really appealing, but let's not discount digital pedals just yet. Digital technology has come a long way, baby. These days you can get digital pedals that sound incredibly warm and analog. Plus, they often offer a level of versatility and precision that's simply not possible with circuits. Think about it, you can have a single digital pedal that emulates dozens of different effects, from vintage tape delays to mind-bending modulation. So yeah, while analog pedals will always have a special place in my heart, I'm not afraid to embrace the power and flexibility of the digital effects. Okay, this is a myth that I really want to debunk. Look, I get it, we all love fancy gear. And yeah, sometimes you do get what you pay for, but when it comes to pedals, price doesn't always equal tone. Sure, there are some incredible sounding boutique pedals out there, the cost of small fortune, but there are also plenty of affordable pedals that can hold their own against the big boys. The key is to focus on what sounds good to your ears and works well with your setup. Don't get caught up in the hype or the brand names. Experiment with different pedals regardless of their price tag and find what inspires you. Remember, the most expensive pedal in the world won't make you a better player. It's all about how you use it now. Who said you can't use multiple distortion pedals? That's just crazy talk. Some of the most iconic guitar tones were created by stacking different overdrive and distortion pedals. Think about it, you can use one pedal for a light crunch, another for a thick saturated lead tone, and maybe even a fuzz pedal for those face-melting solos. The key is to experiment and find combinations that complement each other. Start with lower gain settings on both pedals and gradually increase them until you find that sweet spot. You can also experiment with the order of the pedals. Putting a boost pedal in front of a distortion pedal can push it into overdrive, creating a massive wall of sound. Don't be afraid to get creative and break the rules. This used to be a legitimate concern back in the day, but modern pedal bypass technology has pretty much eliminated this issue. Most pedals these days use either true bypass, of which are designed to minimize tone suckage. True bypass, as we discussed earlier, completely removes the pedal from the signal path when it's off. Buffered bypass, on the other hand, uses a buffer circuit to maintain signal strength and clarity. Now, some players claim they can hear a slight difference between true bypass and buffered bypass, but honestly it's often very subtle. The key is to choose pedals with high quality bypass systems and experiment to see what sounds best for your setup. If you're really concerned about tone loss, you can always invest in a dedicated signal buffer pedal to place at the beginning or end of your chain. Alright, this is one of my pet peeves. Pedals are not just for electric guitars. In fact, effects pedals can be used to create some truly amazing sounds with acoustic guitars, keyboards, vocals, and even drums. For acoustic guitars, a touch of reverb or delay can add depth and spaciousness, while a chorus pedal can create a lush, shimmering texture. Keyboards can benefit from all sorts of effects, from wah-wah and distortion to modulation and delay, and for vocals a touch of reverb or delay can add that professional polish, while a harmonizer pedal creates stunning vocal harmonies. Don't be afraid to think outside the box and experiment with different instruments and effects. You might be surprised at what you come up with. Oh man, if I had a nickel for every time I heard this one, listen, delay, pedals are like snowflakes. No, two are exactly alike. Sure, they all create that repeating echo effect, but the character, the warmth, the way the repeats decay, that's where the magic happens. Analog delays with their warm organic repeats are perfect for adding a touch of vintage vibe. Digital delays, on the other hand, offer pristine clarity and precise control over the delay time and feedback. Then you've got tape delays, which use actual tape loops to create those warm, wobbly echoes that just scream classic rock. And let's not forget about all the other variations like reverse delays, multi-tap delays, and ping-pong delays. Each one has its own unique flavor and can dramatically alter the sound of your instrument, alright? This is a big one, folks. Pedal order absolutely matters. Think of your signal chain as a recipe. The order in which you add the ingredients can drastically affect the final flavor. Generally speaking, you want to follow a signal flow that goes from low gain to high gain effects. So you typically start with your tuning pedals, followed by wah-wahs and filters. Then overdrive and distortion pedals, modulation effects like chorus and flanger. And finally time-based effects like delay and reverb. Of course, there are always exceptions to the rule, and some players prefer to experiment with different pedal orders to create unique sounds. But if you're just starting out, it's a good idea to stick to the traditional signal flow until you get a better understanding of how each pedal interacts with the others. Alright folks, we've just busted 8 common guitar pedal myths. Remember, true bypass isn't always necessary, analog isn't inherently better than digital, and price doesn't guarantee tone. Don't be afraid to stack those distortion pedals, experiment with effects on different instruments, and explore the vast world of delay pedals. Most importantly, don't be afraid to experiment and find what works best for you. If you found this video informative, hit that thumbs up and see you next time.